Arpeggio Dolphins. Welcome back to another Read Aloud with Mrs. Mullen. Today is a really fun read because it's about a principal who loves his students so much that he wants every day to be a school day. Doesn't that sound amazing? I think that maybe Mrs. Mullen may want to instate this when we return back to school because I haven't seen you for so long and I miss you guys so much that what if we just made every day a school day? Forget summer, forget holidays. Let's just be together every single day. Come join me for this book. It's called A Fine, Fine School by Sharon Creech, and the pictures are by Harry Bliss. Mr. King was a principal who loved his school. Every morning he strolled down the hallway and saw the children in their classes. He saw them learning shapes and colors and numbers and letters. He saw them reading and writing and drawing and painting. He saw them making dinosaurs and forts and pyramids. Oh, he would say, aren't these fine children? Aren't these fine teachers? Isn't this a fine, fine school? Can you identify Mr. Keene? Which one's Mr. Keene? He is our main character in the story, Mr. Keene, the principal. Near Mr. Keene's school, Tilly lived with her parents and her brother and her dog Beans in a small house next to a big tree. On Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, Tilly went off to school. Our next character in the story is Tilly. Can you point to which one you think is Tilly? There she is. At school, Tilly learned her shapes and colors and numbers and letters. Sometimes when she saw Mr. Keene standing in the hallway, he waved. Aren't these fine children, he said to himself. Aren't these fine teachers, and isn't this a fine, fine school? I'm stuck, get help. On the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, Tilly climbed her favorite tree. Let go now, Beans. And she took Beans on walks and threw him sticks. Be one with the skip. And she pushed her brother on a swing and tried to teach him how to skip. But on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, Tilly went off to school. Beans and her brother did not like to see her go. Hurry, hurry, hurry home, her brother called. One day, Mr. Keene called all the students and teachers together and said, This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school on Saturdays too. The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on Saturdays, but no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers of all the learning they were doing every day. Oh my goodness, what has happened? Would you be happy if you had to go to school on Saturdays? And so that Saturday, Tilly set off for school. But it's Saturday. What about swings? Her brother called. The following month, Mr. Keene announced, This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school on Sundays too. The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on Sundays, but no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers and of all the learning they were doing every day. Did the students look happy or sad to have to come to school on Sunday? Yeah, he looks pretty sad. They're not smiling anymore. Now, why do you think that the boys and girls and the teachers are not telling Mr. Keene no? Why do you think that they're keeping that to themselves? They don't seem happy, but no one wants to tell Mr. Keene that. Make a prediction. I mean, it's hard to say. I think that maybe they didn't want to let him down, especially since he was so proud of all of them. I think everybody wanted to make him happy. And so that Sunday, Tilly set off for school. But it's Sunday. What about skipping? Her brother called. The following month, Mr. Keene called everyone together and said, "This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school on holidays too. On Easter and Ramadan and Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah, on all the holidays on every calendar." The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on holidays, but no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers of all the learning they were doing every day. Oh my goodness. The students don't ever get a break. So who looks happy in this picture and who looks sad? Yeah, he looks very happy, but the students are looking really miserable. And so on Christmas, Tilly set off for school. "But it's Christmas. What about Christmas?" her brother called. The following month, Mr. Keene called everyone together and said, "This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school in the summer too. All summer long, every single day." Oh my goodness. What do you think is going to happen? Make a prediction. Let's find out. "How much we will learn," he said. "We can learn everything. We will learn all about numbers and letters, colors and shapes, the Romans and the Egyptians and the Greeks. We will learn about dinosaurs and castles and everything. We will learn everything." The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on Saturdays and Sundays and holidays and all summer long, every single day. But no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers and of all the learning they were doing every day. Oh my goodness. And so on the first day of summer, Tilly set off for school. "But it's summer. What about summer?" her brother called. And that day, Tilly went to see Mr. Keene. She stood in his office in front of his desk. "What a fine, fine school this is," Mr. Keene said. "What amazing things everyone is learning." "Yes," Tilly said, "we certainly are learning more amazing things." "A fine, fine school," Mr. Keene said. "But," Tilly said, "not everyone is learning." Oh, what do you think she means by that? Not everyone is learning. What could she be talking about? Who's not learning? "What?" Mr. Keene said. He looked very worried. Who? Who isn't learning? Tell me, and I will see that they learn." "My dog Beans hasn't learned how to sit," Tilly said, "and he hasn't learned how to jump over the creek." "Oh," Mr. Keene said. "And my little brother hasn't learned how to swing or skip." "Oh," Mr. Keene said. "Wrong way, Beans." Beans is trying to swing him in the swing. "And I," she said. "But you go to school," Mr. Keene said, "to our fine, fine school." "True," Tilly said, "but I haven't learned how to climb very high in my tree, and I haven't learned how to sit in my tree for a whole hour." "Oh," Mr. Keene said. That day, Mr. Keene walked up and down the halls looking at the children and the teachers. Up and down he walked. Up and down. Up and down. What do you see in this picture? What are the kids bringing to school? What are they doing at the school? That's unusual. Yeah, you've got somebody who's brushing his teeth. You've got people who are loading 10,000 count of pencils. Books are on their head. Everybody looks sad. The next morning, Mr. Keene called everyone together. The children and the teachers were very worried. Mr. Keene said, "This is a fine, fine school. with fine, fine children and fine, fine teachers. But not everyone is learning. The children and the teachers were very, very worried. Mr. Keene said, "There are dogs who need to learn how to sit and how to jump creeks." What did he mean? Was he going to make their dogs come to school? "There are little brothers and sisters who need to learn how to swing and how to skip." What did he mean? Was he going to make their younger brothers and sisters come to school too? The children and the teachers were very, very worried. "And you, all of you children and teachers, you need to learn how to climb a tree and sit for an hour," Mr. Keene said. 20 minutes to go. The children and the teachers were very, very worried. "And so, from now on, we will make a prediction." What do you think he's going to say? Not have school on Saturdays or Sundays or holidays or in the summer. A huge, enormous, roaring cheer soared up to the ceiling and floated out the window so that everyone in the town heard the fine, fine children and the fine, fine teachers shout, "Fine, fine, fine." Look at the teachers in the background. Look how happy they are. This says, "You gotta love it." And the fine, fine children and the fine, fine teachers lifted Mr. Keene up, and they carried him down the hallway and out the doors and through the town, up and down, in and out. And everywhere they went, the people said, "What a fine, fine school with such a fine, fine teachers and fine, fine children and a fine, fine principal." Back to normal. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is I would like you to write a paragraph, an opinion of how much school would you like to have. If you could be the person to decide how many days a week we go to school, for how long we go to school, when we go to school, how would you change the amount of time we are here at school? Some people, and in other countries, they go to school for longer days. Like they start at 8 but don't get out until 3 or 4 o'clock. So they may not go on Saturdays and Sundays, but they have longer days. Some schools start later so kids can sleep in, and they don't start until like 9 o'clock in the morning and get out at 3 or 4. In some places, students do go to school 6 days a week. They do have some schooling on Saturdays as well. So think about this. If you got to decide when we have school and for how long, what would you decide? Make sure to support your argument, right? Give me reasons. Don't just say this is what I want, but tell me why you think that's a good idea. Why would that be a better idea than what we currently have? I think this is a fun activity, especially since we're not in school right now, to at least still be thinking about the learning that we do here and why maybe 5 days a week for 6 hours a day is what's perfect or what works for us. If you have a different vision, I'd love to hear what that is. Please write that in a paragraph for my younger kiddos. Feel free to draw a picture to go along with it. You can share it in the comments. You can send me an email. But most importantly, share it with your family members. Talk about school. Talk about why school is important and why our time here is so important. Miss you so much. Take care. See you guys tomorrow. Bye, Dolphins.